Welcome to the Digital Concert Hall. I have an absolute dream team with me today. Well, almost a dream team because Renée Fleming is going to join us, I hope, in a minute. Maestro Christian Thielemann, Thomas Hampson, thank you so much for coming to talk to me. Pleasure. It's been quite a week. We have a dream team doing Strauss, all three of you. It's just a dream. How else can I describe it? But the program is quite unusual. It's not the sort of program that Strauss fans are used to. You've got this huge bombastic Blechbläser brass ensemble stuff, and then you've got the really intimate, wonderful duets. Did you put this program together?
I think we, in a certain way, we decided together, because it is, first you need, if you want to program these songs, you need the singers who can sing it. That's the first thing you have to look for. If you have them, then you can trust also other pieces, as the wonderful Blechbläser thing in the beginning is, and how wonderful Strauss could write, even for, I don't know, something I think he took not very seriously, but it was just joy of composing, so a joy of making music, and how good he was. You see, even in these not very important pieces, like even Festliches Präludium, which comes at the end, which is never played, because it requires a very big orchestra with organ and so on and so on. But to play it here at the end of the concert is wonderful, and in the contrast then, as you said before, to the very subtle lieder. Some of them, as Thomas's lieder are very early in the Strauss life, so they experimentate with, let's say, atonality, or one would call it many wrong notes, and you wouldn't even, even believe that it is Strauss.
Yeah, this is true.
No, the songs are very challenging. We've done them before. They're not very often performed. And I think back to the program, I think one of the wonderful things about this program, and I appreciate Christian's confidence, but you know, right back to him. You must have an orchestra that can play, and you must have a conductor who understands, a musician who understands the breadth of Strauss's abilities, period. I mean, Richard Strauss is just an amazing musical mind and talent, which, because he's so good at so many different things, everyone rather thinks of him as that thing that they like the most. And one of the things that's exciting about this program is that you have everything from Traum durch die Dämmerung, which everybody learns and hums and knows, to something like Notturno, which is completely on the edge of tonality and expression, on a poem by Richard Demel, who's a completely forgotten poet of the German turn of the last century, to, like Christian said, these wonderful orchestral pieces. So it's, and not to mention a little flying by Arabella, you know.
No, I mean, you know, we decided it is not good to play only pieces which are completely unknown. Only unknown pieces. Then I think the public would remain disappointed and would say, yeah,
well,
it's
they
Richard
would come
Strauss,
anyway.
but yeah, they come anyway. They say we have heard beautiful voices, but the music was in the second line. It is more important. What was more important to hear the beautiful voices? No, what we did then is to bring back this kind of sweetness, and what one knows a little bit, opera goers and opera lovers obviously know Arabella, and they dream about a dream team of singers who sing it, and so they are very happy. And then one can choose also lieder which are completely unknown, so they have I think it's very nice that they have all these changes on stage. You see a lot what's happening. Singers go on, off, orchestra changes, organ is playing, whatever.
Organ stops while musicians are still walking onto the stage.
It's to be in a good mood.
Yes.
It's a program to be in a good mood, even if some songs are more on the heavy side.
They're quite heavy, aren't they? Do you think Strauss was inspired by his wife? Can you really tell as a singer that he wrote well for voices?
Well, I think he did write very well for voices, and certainly the pieces that Renée sings and the very melodic pieces that Pauline, his wife, sang. I mean, he wrote them for her. These three arias or songs that we're singing are really Richard Strauss's early days preoccupation with high literature. I mean, Schiller, Goethe, and of course Demel was very contemporary. Demel was extremely popular. I'm a big fan of Richard Demel, that's why I like to talk about him. You know, he's also the author of Errato, which we do know very much. So I think that Strauss is tipping his hat in a lot of directions, and very seriously, Strauss gets undersold very often in his songs, as if he wasn't as serious as other people, and I think that's unfair. He was incredibly facile, and it's sometimes, you know, you kind of, when he writes almost on the edge of atonality, you think he's kind of, well, das kann ich auch. But the thing is, he does it so well.
Thomas, you know, he said that he could instrumentate a telephone. That was what he was saying about himself. Yeah, and we see that. And even for, you know, like Festliches Präludium, written for the opening of the Konzerthaus in Wien, it could be a terribly boring piece, loud and unnecessary. So, but played in a good way, I think many people, even in the orchestra, who didn't know it before, and said, it's not so bad as we thought before. But usually you think, oh my God, what is that written for? And we forget about it. It is so good. It's such a good music. On the other hand, I think a good mixture makes it between all these different styles, and we see how really underrated Strauss. Very often people think he is a second-rate or third-rate composer. He was a first-rate composer. All the subtleties, and if you look into the Lieder, how often the whole orchestra plays, it's never the case. Mostly a big orchestra plays only in sections and has all these small subtleties.
But how did you manage to get the Berlin Phil to play quietly? I must congratulate you. A lot of conductors have a real problem with this, and it's really difficult for singers, especially, you know, we're not in the pit, we're up on the same level as you. Did you feel pushed at all, or did you feel in very good hands?
Well, I don't mean this gratuitously, but another conductor, I wouldn't have done this program. You know,
the lovely
Christian
compliment.
and I have done this, but
I'm happy.
But
we know each other for
well, yes, but also, but Christian, what you do with vocal music is simply a different aspect from so many of your colleagues, and especially with Strauss. And so and I know the orchestra loves you because you're actually taking them to another lyric dimension. And this
makes
is
us work.
important.
He really makes us work.
The thing is, I learned from good colleagues and very good colleagues that it is sometimes important that most of the players of the orchestra listen directly to the singer. The moment in which they don't hear anymore, then they play obviously too loud. Yes. And the misunderstanding with Strauss' writings is very often that we see too many fortes and fortissimi. It has to do with intensity, but we know that also from opera. Think about Verdi or Puccini. My God, how often they write forte, even 3 forte in Tosca, 5 forte.
Well, the brass are always happy if we see a fortissimo.
Yeah, they are happy, but we are not happy. And it is a wonderful challenge to have an orchestra of this quality playing so softly and with these subtleties. And I think we have a good time because we just discover how great the scores were. And you only find out about that if you have a singer and have singers who sing really piano. Yes. And they try to think, we sing piano, we have to try that the orchestra listen to you even if you sing piano.
No, absolutely.
How do you find the getting this intimate feeling? I mean, you and Renée and the Arabella, it's so wonderful to watch. It's like there's only the two of you on stage. It's so beautiful, but you're surrounded. It's
you know, for me, it's a dream. We had a wonderful Arabella project in Zurich that I was very sick, and I had to cancel the whole damn thing, and it was filmed, and so we have never done Arabella. We've always wanted to do Arabella.
I couldn't find it anywhere.
I love the role of Mandrika, and I especially love the moments with Arabella. So it was a real dream come true for me last night in these concerts. She's just a wonderful singer and personality. We also know each other very well. We've sung a lot on stage, and we trust each other implicitly. We know each other's voices. We know exactly what we're reading from one another, and also Renée is, you know, I mean, who can't fall in love with Renée? You know.
But it has also to do with the human atmosphere you have. Yeah. You know, you might work with wonderful colleagues, vocally or artistically, but you don't want to talk to them because they are not nice. But in this case, we could say that we are friends.
Yes, absolutely.
We are really friends, and we are sometimes, if the lead is over, one can say on stage, oh, das war gut, oder oh, we had a good time. So I see how they look.
Speaking of which, Renée, how lovely to see you. Thanks for joining us. Were your ears burning? They were just saying the most wonderful things about you. I was just asking Tom what it's like to try and create this intimate atmosphere, like, you know, you two at the end of Arabella, these incredibly beautiful duets, and that you're surrounded by people, you've got the audience right in front of you, whether that was harder to do than up on an opera stage with the lights and the costumes.
Who looks at the audience? We're singing Arabella. I'm Mandrika. I only look at her.
Well, usually you're usually her father or something, but this is a role. These are two roles where you can actually be in love, because like in Traviata, you were the
I know the baritone's never the romantic lead.
No.
It's always the tenor. But I think it's easier in concert because we don't have a big costume in the way, and you know, worrying about falling over this set.
Well, I tell you what I find wonderful in the
pure.
concert thing is that once again we were talking about Strauss and his vocal writing. Arabella, certainly the first two acts of Arabella, are just written so perfectly to the human emotion that's involved and the kinds of people they are. You know, there's this rather demure and extremely clever questioning and enticing and flirting, but not, that Arabella is doing, and this rather sort of in-your-face, komm doch, ja, ich mach doch, ja, you know, this kind of thing from Mandrika. It's just, you know, you can't help but be engaged, and then it all within 15 minutes going, you know, the very timing of when Strauss decides when to say sie and du between the two characters. This is just a miracle.
Difficult thing in German.
It's fantastic.
And it's all decided by a glass of water.
And it's such an example, true, of love at first sight, which only exists in plays and etc.
It exists sometimes if you work for the first time with the singer and you think this is artistically love on first sight, because you feel immediately
a connection. That's true.
Does it work or doesn't it work? And I think that's something you cannot speak about many things. You see, as a conductor, you have to know to listen, to know how much do they need to sing on their own, but when is the moment in which you have to get them back, or somehow, if there is a connection. If there is no connection, you don't get the atmosphere. And the atmosphere is something I like some, and I mean, one has to say too, they speak very well German, and they understand what they sing, and they understand the language.
And we can understand what they sing. That's also important.
It is not easy to follow the German parlando. This kind of, German parlando, which is similar to the Italian parlando, which has to be so natural and so as if it was nothing, you know. And that is something you have to understand. If you don't, then the whole atmosphere is not there.
Yes.
And we spoke often about that, because we did many lieder together, and we spoke about holding back certain, and to give enough sweetness, enough, but not too much, and to have this kind of Mozartian with a little more.
It's the magic of it. Yes.
This is something,
Yes.
and I mean, I'm so happy when she stands, and I feel, the atmosphere is there. One has to have that. Also because I feel that we are so much alike in that, and we know it doesn't happen always.
I was saying before that he's a genius for getting the Berlin Philharmonic to play quietly enough for you, and I hope you didn't feel
we were quite happy yesterday, weren't we?
It's so beautiful, you know, and to hear that extraordinary, this orchestra play like that, it's so refined and perfectly together. I mean, that's also a great joy. And then the audience doesn't feel that they can't really hear us, and we're not pushing.
Not at all.
So it's better. It's better music making if you're going to accompany a singer, if you're going to be with a singer, then it's important.
I'm always in awe of my colleagues and their technical abilities, because conductors push them really to the absolute limits of the instruments. I mean, I'm sure conductors do that with singers obviously as well, but here, that's the way it should be. And I'm never worried that someone's not going to be able to do it, because they just can.
No, but you know how often you have to say in a rehearsal, nur forte. Because forte means for many people, let's go.
Right.
But there are many kinds of a forte, as there are many kinds of a piano fortissimo. But until you reach really the climax, the high point, take your time. And maybe there are lieder in which you don't even reach this point, because it's not required from that what you have to deliver of subtleties. But this is something you have to transmit. And if you see that trumpet player is willing to give very much, please.
Yeah.
5%, leave 5%, please.
We see it in his eyes.
But this is something I really miss in a lot of music making now. I think because we have been, in our whole generation, really traveling and putting things together very quickly, is this lack of dynamic variety. It tends to be all one color, mostly loud. And I sort of am
Mostly
disappointed.
loud,
Yeah.
It's a gladiator sport.
Yeah, because I miss the sort of variety and the excitement that dynamic variety can give you also. And not just tempo and not just everything else. And also even with we singers, when I started, at the very beginning, there was still a desire to work on ensembles and follow dynamics and say Mozart ensembles. And I don't get that at all anymore.
No.
Nobody bothers, nobody tries.
There's something I do want to ask you too, because these two, as you know, are the most digitally active classical musicians I know. You're an example for us all.
We Twitter each other.
You Twitter each other, you blog.
Yes, that's right.
Did you know, Maestro, that Tom is the first classical musician to have his own app?
Nee.
Did you download it
Sorry.
yet?
No.
You don't have my
don't
iApp.
have his app?
Do you have my iApp on your
didn't know you
telephone?
had an app.
Oh mein Gott.
Not only that, I
Skandal.
And
gave
it's
the first
great.
class, I gave a class at Manhattan School of Music, and we did it live. And I had, I don't know how many, a couple hundred people in Germany watching the class on their iPhones in Germany while I was in Manhattan.
That's
Yeah,
so
it's
great.
really,
It's really
extraordinary.
cool.
It's a new world.
And Renee and I took part in the same concert, but we weren't even in the same country.
Oh, I love it.
The YouTube Symphony Orchestra.
Yes.
I
Oh,
was
that's right,
mentoring
yeah.
them and I played one
Yes.
piece with them, and I just played. You
Amazing,
were
yeah.
on just before me.
Yeah, yeah.
We know-
Incredible,
I
right.
mean, it's just incredible. Do you think this
New world.
do you think this is okay? The way the
You know, the
way
more
things are
people
going?
get to know this wonderful music, the better it is.
Bravo.
And even if it is over strange lines on apps and whatever, nein, the end must be that they come to buy the tickets. When they see Hampson, Fleming, and so we are on stage, we want to come. And you see, we have 3 times a sold-out house here, and they want tickets, and they're standing around the house now. That's what we want. Because if it's empty, then we are quite unhappy. Then we can sing as soft as we can, but nobody comes to hear.
And it's an education for people also, because if they like music and then they can go online and hear the Berlin Philharmonic, then they say, oh, that's the goal. You know, they learn.
It's not only that, though. I think these days, before you would go to a concert because your parents would make you and you'd hear the music and then you'd get interested in the people who were doing it. But these days, it's almost the other way around. People have to be interested first in the artist before they'll go to a concert. You know, it's sad, but that's the way the young people seem to think. And you know, you're wonderful examples.
Our private lives are not important for that, what we do on
No,
stage.
I don't mean private lives. I just mean, glamorous singers are fantastic.
We live in
for us.
a hugely celebrity-driven time, without
absolutely.
question, and that's part of what Renee was also talking about in the Beliebigkeit from making music sometimes, especially in the opera world, because it's about this famous person or that person, or we're wanting to discover something else, and it's Puccini becomes secondary, Verdi becomes it all becomes sort of Mittel zu Zweck. And this is what is so incredibly depressing. We can never let that happen. And that's why I think things like the digital concert hall, and I hope other organizations would do the same, is so important, because like you just said, it's not just about standard, it's not about elitism, it's about quality, it's about truth. And quite frankly, this program that we're releasing to the digital concert hall, you know, 3/4 of it has never been heard before, live, recorded. You know, so I mean, it's an incredible opportunity, but it all must drive people to the live performance. It's all about
I
this.
looked it up. I tried to look it up in YouTube, and I didn't find certain songs.
I didn't either when I was
And
trying
I
to
didn't
research
even
this.
find Gesang von Apollo-Priesterin.
But that's
That's
surprising.
harder.
Yeah, it is
There's
on,
some recordings,
it is a
on a CD,
recording,
right?
but
Probably
it
not
is a
YouTube,
CD, but it is not on YouTube. And I tried to find out there are many things, and I mean, we are speaking about Richard Strauss,
From
who
next
is one
week,
of
this will all be
the
different.
most known composers.
But you know, some of this music too, you can't hear it on recording or on the internet or on to hear that piece live and hear the orchestra absolutely unleash is indescribable.
The temple gates
It's
open at the
So you know, lest anybody forget that really the goal is people need to be in the concert hall, because that's a different
course.
experience.
Yes.
But we're trying to do our best to get it out there, and you're really fantastic examples of that. And thank
Well,
you
I gave
very, very much.
my subscription to my father so
We'll
that
get you
he
a
can
new one.
enjoy in South Carolina.
Wonderful. We'll get you a new one. Thank you so much. I know it's a big deal for singers to come and speak before a concert, and also for a conductor to come and be distracted. But it's been wonderful watching you
go
work
soak
together.
your elbow. We go inhale something.
Yes.
So we will enjoy the rest of the program tonight. And thank you so much.
Well
and please
done.
come back soon.
Dankeschön.
It's an absolute pleasure. A dream team. Thank you.
Dankeschön.
Thank you.
Yay.